Hello, everyone, and welcome to our February Hope Session, Creative Writing for Mental Health, The Power of Metaphor. I'm Heidi Parker, pronouns she, her, and I'm the Community Initiatives Manager, and I am your Zoom host today. This program is presented as part of our free Hope series, Healing Online for People Everywhere, which we created to support the resilience of our global community through social emotional arts. Each workshop offers a supportive space for connection, healing, and empowerment as we navigate the changes in our world. If you have previously attended a Hope session, welcome back. I do see a lot of familiar faces. And if you are new, thank you for joining today. We are grateful you are all here to create, learn, and grow together as a community. Today's program is in a meeting format, so please keep yourself muted until prompted otherwise. We are recording today's session in speaker view. We do pause during reflection to be shared on our YouTube channel, and you are welcome to leave your cameras on as you feel comfortable, as we'd love for you to actively participate. Our session today is scheduled for an hour and a half, and feel free to add questions in the chat as they arise or use the raise hand function. Before we begin, we would like to start by acknowledging the Tongva Nation, on whose land the city of Los Angeles, where we are based, rests today. We hold respect and gratitude for the Tongva people who still consider themselves the caretakers of this land. By their example, we are reminded of our responsibility to our planet and to one another. So let's take a moment in our own way to honor the Indigenous communities of past and present on whose land you are joining from today. And feel free to honor the communities where you're joining from in the chat. So I'd like to welcome today's presenter. Maya Akiva is a professional speaker, trauma-informed trainer, performer, and writer in Los Angeles, a graduate of the Arts and Healing Initiative Certificate Program in Social Emotional Arts, and an active member of Epiphany Space, an artist community in Hollywood. She teaches heartfulness meditations at the Den Meditation in Los Angeles and at companies such as Sony PlayStation, Hulu, Burbank Studios, and Deutsch. She also leads workshops for Right Girl, Models of Pride, and Caltech while upholding her personal mission to empower everyone's mental health by making friends with our emotions. So I will turn it over to Maya. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. That's so funny. That's bio is from like 4 years ago. And since I'm a freelancer, like you know how freelancing every 2 years, you do completely different things. And I don't do a lot of those things. I do like other things, which I will tell you about. But thank you so much for sharing. And thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Before we jump into it, I will tell you where I'm from. Usually I have people guess, but we only have an hour and a half, so we won't have time to have you name every country in the world. So I am originally from Israel, hence the accent. And I've seen so many people on the chat, not from LA. I'm so excited. I feel like we should do like East Coast versus West Coast something. I don't know, because it seems like it's 50-50. I see a lot of people from the East Coast. So welcome. Yeah, I'm really grateful to be here. I discovered Hearts Healing Initiative this summer, actually, like in June or something like that, May, June of last year. And I was like, I remember telling Ping, oh my God, I found my people. I mean, where have you been? Like, and I signed on the next day to the SIA facilitator, because you know I do mental health for creativity. So in the mental health field, people go like, why are you bringing creativity? What is this? Like, we're here to do therapy. And in the creativity field, people go like, this is not a mental health field, you know, we cannot, you know. So I was like, when I found this organization, I was like, oh my God, my people. So I'm so glad you guys are here, and thank you for joining us. Let me share my screen. I'll tell you a little bit more about me as we move along. I haven't perfected the art of speaking and operating a PowerPoint yet. Slideshow. from the beginning. All right. Hello, everyone. This is my company, Mental Health and Creativity. I'll tell you a little bit about it as we move along. Let me open the chat. Awesome. This is what we're going to do today: a mental health creative writing workshop, which is what I do in many different ways. The power of metaphor. So today, pretty much I think everything we're going to do, maybe a few like little creative things, will be metaphorical writing. So I hope you're ready for, for that kind of like mind bending. But before we start, let's before we jump into everything, let's start with a writing exercise. Okay, it's just to warm your hand and kind of like get you ready. You will need pen and paper and a pencil or a pen. I highly recommend, you don't have to do it, you can do it on your computer, but I highly recommend, especially the next one that we're going to do, writing with your pen and paper. Okay, you guys are ready? All right. Here is what we're going to start with. Write your 5 favorite words. Write them using your weak hand. Okay, so if you are a right-handed person, you're going to write it with your left hand. And if you're a left-handed person, you're going to write it with your right hand. No judgment whatsoever. If it looks really bad, there's nothing, it doesn't mean anything about you, except the fact that you don't know how to write with your weekend. And favorite words is whatever it means to you. Usually I say cursing is allowed, but I don't know if, I don't know what the arts and healing philosophy is about that. So keep it PG-13. But yeah, let's see. We'll give you a minute to do that. And we'll find out if anybody is an ambidextrix, which sometimes people don't know they are, which is fascinating. So we'll see. We'll give you a minute to do that, kind of warm your hands. I see some people smiling, which is good. Nobody's crying. That's a good sign. And thank you for those who have your camera on, so I can see if you're crying or smiling. We'll give you a minute to finish. All right, and here's how we're going to share. Here is how we're going to share it. In the chat, or if you want to speak it out loud, just raise your digital hand and we'll let you share. Put either all your words or one words. We'll start with that, and then after we finish, we'll share the handwriting. So let's start with that. What are your five favorite words or one words that is a favorite words of yours? Put it in the chat or raise your hand and you can share it out loud. Oh, Catherine, you are you are tackling me because I don't know any of these words. That is so cool. Oh my God. You guys know I'm a foreigner, right? Light, sun, intuition, open, breed, family, friends, love. Oh, I love it. Fluid. What a great word. Sensitive. Panda. That's awesome. Oh my God, I'm gonna save the chat and go and find out some of those words are, because I don't think I know what they are. That is so awesome. Darling. Ooh, that's such a great word. I'm gonna start calling my girlfriend darling. I like that. Darling, do you want to leave right now? I do like that. Okay, shut up. That's a great word. Um, Lisa, is that a real word, the first word? Word? I don't even know how to pronounce it. Twilight, that's a great word. Dancing, pristine, I like that. Splendid. Community, awesome. Okay, that's awesome. All right, so here's what I want you to do now. If you're willing, put your handwriting in front of the camera and let's see if anybody is ambidextrous, if anybody knows how to write it. You might have to kind of, I know it's hard to kind of watch it and see, but oh my God, I see so many ambidextrous. Amy, ambidextrous. Megan, definitely an Megan, did you write that with your weekend? That's amazing. Did you know you were an ambidextrous? No, right? People don't know. Now you know. You can write with your weekend. Let's see. That's so awesome. Kathy, that's nice handwriting. And by the way, again, if you don't have nice handwriting, that doesn't mean anything except the fact that you don't know how to write with your weekend. Lisa, that's also great. Wow, that's awesome. Sensitive, I like that, Vic. That's awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed this exercise. This is an exercise, by the way, if you ever in a party or a wedding reception and it's boring as hell, this is such a fun exercise to do. You can do it about any topic. You can do it about, 5 words about the bride and the groom with your weekend, and everybody loves it and laughs, and it makes everybody chuckle. It's a really fun exercise. So thank you for participating. Go back to sharing my screen. All right. So let me introduce myself a little bit so you know who the hell is talking to you. And let me open the chat. If you have any questions or any comment, always feel free to put it in the chat. So like I said, my name is Maya. I live in Los Angeles via Israel, but I'm like 25 years. So I'm half-half, even though the accent I can't get rid of. I was born and raised in Israel. I write comedy amongst other things. I'll try to be funny. I know I always say it, and then I'm like, okay, now I made the bar very high, and now I have to be funny. So I'll try. As you know, it's hard to be funny on cue. I have a cat named Annie. She's over there in the corner, as you can see in the PowerPoint. She's a princess. She might show up, and if she shows up, she just wants treat. It's not because she cares about you and she wants to say hi. So maybe she will make an appearance. And I have a podcast where I interview my feelings, which is a little bit some of the stuff that we're going to do, so please subscribe if you're interested. It's really fun. And those are all my nieces in Israel, my last visit. I only have nieces. I had to learn how to shop for girls, which is something I never knew before. So they're all very cute and I miss them very much. And that's about me more on a personal level. On a more professional level, like I said, I'm a freelancer. I have my own company, and the reason I was brought here to do a mental health creative writing workshop is because that is my universe. That is what I do. It's kind of like divided into 3 ways, and I want to tell you a little bit about it just because you know what we're going to do today and where it comes from and what does it mean and all of that. I started I'm not a therapist. I don't have a college degree. Don't tell anybody. I mean, everybody that needs to know knows, but I never was successful in the education department. So I'm kind of like a self-starter, and my 2 passions in life was always writing and mental health, because of my own journey of a lot of mental health issues in the family, Holocaust survivors, it's like generational trauma, blah, 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 all of that. So I've always loved my mental health journey, and I found out that I started slowly writing about it. I would write like those weird metaphorical things about a world where love is considered like money. For example, as an exchange. Or a world where being alone is considered a norm and being married is frowned upon. Like those weird stuff, but they're always about like issues of mental health. So when I left my corporate job 10 years ago, I fell into a mental health facility, meaning not as a patient, but my friend was starting one and she wanted someone to do creative writing, and she knew me, and I was part of Write Girl, and she knew I can teach writing, creative writing. So she asked me to come and do it and just invent a curriculum. And unbeknownst to me, I created this really cool curriculum that I enjoy too, which brings a lot of mental health and writing and using a lot of metaphors and imagination and stuff like that, which is what we're going to experience today. That was like 10 years ago. So obviously it's been a long process of kind of like writing it and discovering. I would say that before the pandemic, mental health and the stuff that I did were not very popular, meaning it was very popular in the mental health world, but not anywhere else. And after the pandemic, unfortunately, it became more popular in other areas. And now I'm getting into education, which is something that's very needed, but also they're very much more open now to the word mental health and bringing creativity to mental health, as some of you might know. So I basically do three things on and on. It's like a pie, as you know, if anybody else is a freelancer. I have a curriculum guide for therapists and mental health workers. I do a workshop and training and keynotes for staff. Again, all about the world of mental health, sometimes creativity. And I've just this year partnered with an education company, and we created an activity guide for K to 12 that does creative writing, which is what a lot of it is you're going to experience. So those are stuff that you can do for adults and for kids. So this is kind of like where I bring those things. It was just like trial and error and seeing what works. And that's why when I discovered Art and Healing, I was like, this is amazing. Same people, my people. Where do I get a passport? I did. I joined the C facilitator program, which, by the way, if anybody hasn't taken it, it's a doozy. You should do it. It's really interesting. Yeah, so that's about me. If you have any questions, I'll leave my email at the end. You can always contact me. I know you all know what mental wellness and mental health is, but I do like to kind of like just show it or talk about it or say what it is, because it's the same as social emotional learning, but it's different. And actually Castle, which I didn't put that slide in, but I know you probably all know Castle, which is the organization that in charge of like the research about social emotional learning. Castle.org, if you never checked it out, I highly recommend. Just came up with an article, a huge article in the main page that says that mental health, they did research, mental health supports social emotional learning, and social emotional learning support mental health. Now it's a little bit like duh, but it's a good thing that they show it as a research thing, that they both they're different, but they complement each other. But mental wellness is an internal resource that helps us think, feel, connect, and function. It is an active process that helps us to build resilience, grow, and flourish, as you know. Now, remember, we're not talking about mental illness, which is a whole other thing. We're talking about mental health, which is something we all deal with, no matter if we never had any mental illness. The mental health creative writing prompts help adult and youth practice being present, because as you know, when you write, you are definitely able to be more present, connecting and exploring themselves, because writing helps you explore yourself mindfully and emotionally, using journaling, metaphorical writing, imagination prompt, and magical realism writing, among others. My specialty is definitely magical realism and metaphorical. I do some journaling, but that's kind of like not what my main practice is. And this is the SEL Castle wheel. Is there anybody who's never seen it? If not, I'm so honored to offer it. Show it to you. This is what this is the organization. They're not a company. They're a research organization that invented SEL. Now, I'm not like a good person to talk about them. I'm not a researcher, but I do know for my work that I do that in the 1960s, when after school program became necessary and they started creating it, they're like, okay, we need to figure out what is the frame of work for after school program. I mean, we know what the school work is frame. You have to study, pass a test, and get a grade. But what about everything that goes on beyond that? And they came up with this wheel, which is the social emotional learning wheel, which says that if you pay attention and create program, after school programs that hits all those points. Yeah, thank you, Heidi. Heidi just put the website. I highly recommend signing on to their email list. Then you can measure that you have a good program. And a lot of the stuff that we're going to do today fall on self-management, self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills. So that's just as an FYI. Again, this is not a CASEL or SEL lecture. I promise I'm going to stop talking in like 2 minutes and then we're going to start writing. I just wanted to give you some background so you know why we're doing the things you're doing and who I am. All right. Before we start writing, let's go over a few writing safe practices, okay? I know you all know regular self practices. You probably have done more training than I did, but those are writing self practices that I really like to bring up just so everybody will feel comfortable. First of all, there is no right or wrong. Anything you write is good. This is not an English class. And I say it to a lot of time to kids who do this who do these activities and adults who have education trauma. I'm one of those. You can always write anything you want. Like I'll give you the prompt, but whatever comes up for you, it's fine. There's no right or wrong. There's no like wrong way to do something. It's metaphorical, so it's everybody interpreted it differently. You can write as long or as short as you want. There is no, you can write a sentence. You can write 2 pages. You can write funny or serious. It's always up to you. Some people like to make more joking, write more jokingly. You can write a poem. You can write, that's the next one. You can write any style you want. You can make a list, a description, poems, funny jokes, anything goes. Make sure you can read your handwriting. I can tell you that that is something that makes people very upset when they wrote this amazing thing and now they can't read it back to anybody because they can figure out what they wrote. So just, if you can, try to write a little bit slower so you can read it. And as you know, you've been to an OPA series before. Sharing in front of the group is optional, but of course, we'd love to hear things that you wrote, and we'll use the chat and sharing, and we'll see how it goes. Can I get a thumbs up from everybody that is okay with this? Awesome. You can do it digitally. You can do it literally on the camera. Here is what we're going to do today. We're about to start, okay? I call this session going on a first date with yourself. So I know this wasn't in the advertising, so I hope that nobody, I mean, if you do go like, no, thank you, feel free to leave. But it's always an interesting experience to go on a first date with yourself. And we're going to do it by a few creative writing experiences. We've done the first one earlier. And then we're going to do an exercise about getting to know your thoughts, and then getting to know your feelings, and then getting to know yourself. And let's pray we have enough time. And then if we have time, we'll do a last fun writing experience, and then reflection at the end, just to see, just to help you kind of look back and see what you experienced. All right, this is me done talking. Are you ready to jump in? Okay. Here is the, I'm looking at the chat. Okay, a few people left. That's okay. If you're not ready to go on a date with yourself, I totally understand. You can see it also as like a coffee, like pre-date with yourself, if that's an easier thing to imagine. Here is the first activity that we're going to do, getting to know your thoughts. Here's the prompt. Invent a potion that can help you with your negative thoughts. Now, remember, a potion, it's something magical. So the potion can have anything, feeling, people, color, things, visions, memories, anything you want. And think about what is the ingredient, how do you cook it, how do you take it, do you drink it, do you smear it all over your body, and what actually does it do to you? if you want to get more specific. Okay, I'll give you like 2-3 minutes to write. If anybody has any questions, put it in the chat or raise your digital hand, and I'll put some music. Feel free to mute yourself or turn down the volume if you don't like music. You write the last few sentences if you're still writing. All right. Let's do some sharing. Again, I'll give you a few options. First of all, I would love to hear how is the experience. But then if you want to type in, I know it takes a little bit while to type in either portion or all of it into the chat. We would love to read it. If you want to if you don't want me to mention, you know, I guess everybody can see the chat, so it doesn't matter. Just in case you want to stay anonymous. And if you're willing to share out loud, just raise your digital hand. Let me read some. We won't have time to read all of it, so I'll read a few. AJ said, AG, sorry. For me, the best thing to come out of my invented potions once I created it on paper was the realization that it is within me. It's already exists in my mind, so I can use it as a balm whenever I need it. As careful as I was in creating it, it is great that I realize that it's always here and it's always inside of me. I can remember it whenever I need to use it. That's awesome. Balm. I don't know what that is. Is that like like never mind. You don't have to teach me English. That's fine. We don't have time for that. But that was beautiful. Thank you. And again, if you want to read it, we won't have time to go over it. If you want to read it by yourself, feel free to do so if you finish writing earlier. But I will say that is kind of like the idea. I mean, if we were in more therapeutic setting, or if I wanted to continue this as a work thing for you, you know, to work on yourself, I would say, all right, now create a self-care plan for this for the next month. You know, what do you want to do once a day? What do you want to do once a week, once a month out of your list? What's your emergency break in case of emergency from your potion? Meaning, like if you really having a negative day, you are committed to doing that. So there's more you kind of like can take from it. But the idea is balm is a smoothing potion lotion cream. Okay, I wasn't that far. Thank you. And the idea is that, you know, if you come to people and say, you should think positive thoughts, you know, it's much better. A lot of us are very comfortable with our negative thoughts because it's just part of the human experience. So doing this in a more metaphorical way, in a magical way, kind of like makes you think about things that you might have resistant to thinking when I will ask you more directly to think about something positive or to how can you get positive. That's kind of like the idea behind it. All right, great job, everyone. Are you ready to get to know your feelings? That's a little like, all right, I see, yes, okay. I will say I will put a disclaimer on the next exercise. Please write it as openly for yourself as you can. You do not have to share anything that comes up, okay? So don't worry about having to share anything personal that came up. All right, getting to know your feeling. This part is a 6-part exercise. I know that sounds a lot, but some of them are very fast. So I'll kind of like pace it as much as I can. If you need extra time, feel free to wait until you move forward. I will have all the prompts on the screen. Okay, this is the first part. Draw a heart on your page, a medium-sized heart. Inside the heart, write down all the feelings that you like to feel. Oh, ignore the last sentence. That's a spelling, that's a typing mistake. Just inside the heart, write all the feelings that you like to feel. Okay? It doesn't have to be everything in the world, just whatever comes up for you right now. I'll give you a few minutes. You have a list of feelings on the screen in case you need some refresher. I'll give you another minute. All right, the next part is, and again, if you need more time with the part two, feel free to do that. Outside the heart, I want you to write down all the feelings you don't like to feel. I'll give you a minute to finish if you haven't already. All right, and here is part 5. I want you to pick a feeling either from inside the heart or outside the heart. It's up to you. Don't feel anything that is too much, like to write to. So either one, okay? Not two feelings, but either from a feeling you like to feel or either a feeling you don't like to feel. And I want you to write a letter to that feeling as though it can hear you, as though it's sitting in front of you, or it's a person in your life that is sitting in front of you and can hear you. What would you like to tell to that feeling? Okay? Think of it as like this is your chance to share something, your thoughts, your feelings, what do you think about it with that feeling. And if anybody has any questions, either put it in the chat or raise your hand. I'll give you like 3 or 4 minutes to do that. And we're going to move to the last part. Now, if you're still writing, that's totally fine. Just take a break so you can hear what I am explaining, and then you can go back to this part and then move on to the last part whenever you finished. So here is the last part. Usually I will have a little discussion about how that felt and how that was, but we don't have time. When you communicate with your feeling, it's not a monologue, it's a conversation. So the last part is about hearing what your feeling has to say back to you. And that's, again, a bit metaphorical. So imagine that your feeling read your letter, received your letter, read your letter, and now it's writing a response back to your letter. Again, it's a little bit metaphorical. You're still doing the writing, but move yourself out of the way and let your feeling answer your letter. Okay? And again, if you have any questions, let me know. All right. Ooh, deep breath. Getting to know your feeling. Not an easy business. You can stretch, punch a wall if you need to. No, don't do that. Move your body around a little bit, shake it off. You probably went deep. I'm kind of like doing like a very fast deep dive. Yeah, how was it? What happened? Again, I know this is a little bit more personal, so you don't have to share any of the letters if you don't want to. So either if you want to, you are welcome to. If not, you can just raise your hand or in the chat. Just share about the experience too, about what came up for you. Chantel, I love this. Hold on. Did you see what Chantel wrote? I didn't have therapy this week, so this exercise gave me a space to work through some emotions I've been dealing with this week. Thank you for the space. Thank you. That'll be $150. No, I'm kidding. Thank you so much. That makes me happy. Here, let's see. Caroline, who either typed it very fast or copied it from somewhere. That was awesome. Caroline, I'm going to read it. I apologize if I'm butchering it because of English as a second language. Dear painfully hungry. I hope it wasn't anything I did or didn't do, but I'm guessing I should have done something sooner so you didn't experience any pain. I mean, hunger is a natural, and I actually feels good to satisfy hunger, duh. But why did it take so long for me to feel you? Did I fail to recognize you until you couldn't be ignored? Did you use the pain to get my attention? Maybe we can do something going forward so that we can remove pain from the feeling, because hunger can be great. For example, I hunger to be more creative. I hunger to be successful. I hunger to be a better friend, family member, person. Let's make a pact to check in on one another. Let's be thankful for the message that pain has given us, and then release it. And then painfully hungry said, agreed. That was great. That was awesome. Yeah, there's more in the chat. Oh yeah, no, that's totally fine, Caroline. She said she copied it because she typed it. It's totally fine. You guys can do what I do, which is I'm saving the chat and I'm gonna read it later because there's some amazing stuff there and we just don't have time to read all of them. But yeah, this again, this exercise, which now you know it, so you can actually do it on your own whenever you want. You can continue the conversation with whatever feeling you chose if you feel like there's a relationship to develop there by either writing letter or writing dialogue. Definitely you can use this exercise when you are stuck around a feeling, when a feeling is too triggering, when you really have like a hard time with a feeling, by writing a letter to it, releasing what it is you want to tell it, and then writing a letter back. If you need advice, as you can see, your feelings will tell you exactly what they think. So if you ever need advice regarding a feeling, you can always write it a letter of advice, like, Hey, Happiness, you've been, gone for a while, and I'm curious, like, are you in Mexico on vacation? Like, where are you? Can you send me a flare or something? And then have Happiness right back and see what it says, because there's a lot of insightfulness in actually communicating with a feeling. Um, all right. Thank you all for sharing. Let's move to our last part. I know this is a lot. I'm kind of like giving you a lot because I just wanted you to experience like the full range. Um, of course, there's millions of exercises, but I kind of gave you the taste. What I will do is when you will get the email with the PowerPoint, I also sent Heidi a one sheet that has some of those exercises and other exercises if you want to continue doing it or try it with your kids or your family or your staff, whatever it is that you want, then it will be available for you. Let's move on to our last part, which is getting to know yourself. Now that we got to know your thoughts and your feelings. That will be the last exercise probably that we do. This is a very metaphorical exercise. So I'll give you the prompt and then I'll explain. You are going to be cloned. They're going to make another one of you. And I want you to write an instruction sheet to your clone on how to be you and how to be happy and fulfilled. Think about, what does your clone need to know? They're you right now, but they don't know anything and they're about to go and live your life. And they need instruction on who you are, but also how to be happy and fulfilled, because we want them to have a good experience. Okay. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll give you like 3 or 4 minutes to write. Yeah, Catherine, it doesn't have your memory. It doesn't know anything. It's empty. It needs to know how to be you. And I know this is a lot, so just focus on whatever comes up for you now. It can be a list, a description, a letter to your clone. All right. Looks like most of you are finished. By the way, while you guys were writing, I was reading the chat, and oh my God, first of all, thank you for everyone who shared in the chat so vulnerably and openly. And I really highly recommend either stay at the end for a minute and just kind of read through or save it, because there's some really, really amazing shares there at the chat. So thank you for everybody who shared. All right, how was meeting your clone? Anybody wants to share, again, either in the chat or raise your hand. You don't have to, you can either read it or just share us about your experience, like how was it, what came up for you? Was it hard, easy to do? Did you learn anything about yourself? Anything that you want to share in the chat. Wow, I found that exercise to be challenging but also insightful. And my clone got tons of advice I need to take for myself. And that is actually the idea of this exercise. I call this exercise a mental health hack, because it's kind of like, how when somebody comes for you and you see how messed up their life is, you can give them advice very easily. You can see exactly what's wrong with their life and you're like, this is what you need to do. But when somebody comes to you and tell you, listen, this is what you need to do, you go like, no, 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 you don't know my life. I can't do this. This is like, no, I can't. So this is kind of like giving advice to somebody else, but that somebody else is actually you. So if I ask you now to read that advice objectively to yourself and kind of make a priority list, maybe one thing in your life you want to change, something that is important to you to take from this, it might be actually useful advice. So that's kind of like the hack. And this clone exercise you can do about much more difficult topics in your life. Meaning when you feel like you need some distance, you don't want advice from other people, but you need a little bit of distance and a gap in order to kind of process things and see things clearly. explain to your clone how to deal with it. It can be about a difficult relationship, how to deal with a difficult relationship in your life, how to deal with trauma, how to deal with grief, how to deal with anything that is hard for you and you need a little bit of space. All right. Let me just, before I hand it over to Heidi, let me just share. This was the last exercise that we were going to do, but we're not going to have time. So and you guys did a lot, so it will be on the PowerPoint, so you will get the PowerPoint, so feel free to do it by yourself. It's not necessarily mental health-ish, it can be, but it's a very fun kind of like quick exercise about writing about different topics using 6-word sentences, and there's examples there. So don't worry about it. It will come in your PowerPoint email, in the email. Yeah. If you don't mind, just as the last thing, in the chat, or if anybody wants to share in a word or a few words, just something that you liked, you learned, that surprised you about the session or about yourself, anything, I would love to hear in the last minute that we had. Gratitude, return to myself. Oh my God, that's amazing. Thank you, Maya. Thank you for unlocking today, sending all good vibe, inspiring exercise. Yeah, use this prompt with your clients. That's awesome. There's more in the guide if you want to look at it. Cozy space for myself to write. Whenever I use a weird voice, is usually me trying to sell you something. That's like, it's not really good marketing, but oh well. Definitely a form of therapy. Yeah, definitely. I do this in treatment centers. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, again, you will get the PowerPoint. If you have any questions, if you about the exercises, and you get also a worksheet that has some more exercises in it, feel free to contact me, stay in touch. I love Heart and Healing Initiative. I'm so glad to be part of the community. And I'm definitely staying for the long haul, and looking forward to meeting you in whatever, art and healing event we will have. And yeah, there's a survey, so you guys probably pros, feel free to fill up the survey. And yeah, thank you. I'll keep it on for a minute in case somebody wants to, but again, you're gonna get the Kai wrote, I was curious about how the brain works to allow us to understand ourselves in this way. I also really curious about how you went about promoting this. Yeah, Kai, email me, and we can chat, okay? Just I don't want to take people's time, but totally. I'll tell you, it's a long story. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thanks everybody. Let me share it back to Heidi for last words. And thank you, by the way, all for participating and being here. It was such an awesome experience, really, for me too, as a facilitator. Sorry, Heidi, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Maya. Such an amazing first date with ourselves. I think all the chat, all the gratitude. So thank you so much. And thank you all for joining today, sharing. It's always such a wonderful experience when you all are able to reflect and share with each other as well. So much appreciation for that. I'd also like to extend our appreciation for those that make the Hope series possible. The LA Department of Arts and Culture for their support of this series. And as Maya mentioned, there will be a follow-up email that doesn't also include the survey link. So it is in the chat. However, you can wait, and it'll be in your email as well with the slides and a couple other Arts and Healing Initiative resources. Your feedback on this session and on the Hope series, it just ensures that we are continuing to best serve you all, make sure that we're addressing topics you're interested in. And so please provide your feedback there. We just, again, we are very grateful for that. On the screen, there's a few upcoming trainings in our upcoming Hope series listed here. We do have the best practices for social emotional arts sessions coming up next week, and then again in March. Those are exemplary sessions that were part of the certificate program that Maya mentioned and is a proud graduate of. And so those dates of their certificate program are also listed on the screen. So feel free to reach out if you have more questions about any of our upcoming programs. They're all available on our website, and additional information will be posted, I would say, within the next week or so on those April and May hope sessions. So again, thank you all for being here.